So, we're going to talk about an important concept in animation, the interplay between timing and spacing. Once you practice this concept and understand how it works, your animations will get better because your objects will move in a more believable way. Now, timing is the amount of time it takes for an action to happen. Think about how long it takes you to turn your head or to shrug your shoulders. Now, spacing is how far an object moves in a given amount of time. The distance you move the object affects whether the action is fast or slow, and it adds believability to your animation. Sounds confusing? This is one of those things that's much easier learned by doing. I'm going to demonstrate some exercises in timing and spacing, and then you can try them on your own. You'll need paper, a pen, a straight edge, tape, and a small object like a ball of clay.
First, we need a piece of paper and we'll tape it down so that it doesn't move around while we animate. Then we are just going to draw a line across the page. This will be a guide for the rolling ball. Let's make guide marks along the line equal distance apart. And let's do 12 of them because 12 frames will make 1 second of film. Now let's place the ball at each mark and shoot a frame. See how I placed that a little too far down? I'll move it up to keep the movement straighter. See how it's going straight across now? You'll notice me making small adjustments like this along the way. You might also notice that I constantly flip back and forth between frames to make sure that the ball is staying on the right path. Animators are constantly flipping between frames to check the movement of their animations. You get the idea. Let's speed this up a little. When we play the whole thing, what do you notice about the way the ball moves? Do you notice that it moves at a very even pace? It doesn't slow down or speed up. That's because we made the spacing between frames even. Now let's draw another line, a shorter one for this second exercise. Once again, we will space the guide marks an equal distance apart, but we're going to make the spaces much smaller than before. We will still be shooting 1 second of film, so we will still do 12 guide marks. I'm still adjusting placement of the ball to make sure it lines up with each guide mark. And always flipping back and forth between frames to make sure I'm following a nice, smooth path. My ball roll is unfortunately rolling a little bit uphill, but you still get the idea. Smaller spacing makes for slower movement, while larger spacing makes for faster movement. Notice that the timing is only 1 second on both exercises, but we changed the spacing and got very different results. With this third exercise, we will take these ideas a step further. If small movements or small spacing make an object move slowly, and big movements make an object move quickly, how do we make an object speed up? By making the spacing incrementally larger between frames. We will still prepare for 1 second of film with 12 guide marks. But this time, the 12th guide mark will be right by the edge of the screen. I'll use tape to protect my desktop. The reason why I decided to make the last ball placement right next to the edge of the screen is because if we shoot a frame or two after with no ball on screen, the ball appears to have accelerated past the edge, which is kind of fun. It's a great way to make things look like they're taking off. Let's compare this third exercise with the first two. There's a very different feel to each, despite the fact that the timing is the same and they're all following a straight line. As you can imagine, slowing down an object works pretty much the exact opposite of speeding an object up. The spacing gets incrementally smaller towards the end of the movement.
So you're ready for the final exercise of this section. In animation, there's a concept called ease in, ease out. It's the idea that all movements need time to speed up and to slow down, even if we barely perceive it. The first two exercises we animated with equal spacing. Those could be compared to a car going a set speed. Ease in, ease out is like the car accelerating and decelerating. To make movements look more natural, all we need to do is add a few frames at the beginning and end of a movement. The number of frames used to do this will vary based on your timing and whether you want the ease in, ease out to look sudden and severe or gradual. So your final exercise for this section is to make a 1 second, 12 frame ball roll using ease in and ease out.
Let's make a line. Then let's place guide marks with increasing space at the beginning and decreasing spacing at the end. The frames in the middle will have wider spacing because that's where the action is fastest. Let's compare ease in, ease out with the first exercise with the even spacing. What differences do you notice between them?
Can you see the ease in, ease out in the small movements of these following animations? You can apply the principles of timing and spacing and ease in, ease out to all of your animations. You won't need to draw lines ahead of time. The more you practice, the easier and more natural the concepts become.